Good afternoon, Teri here at Rooster Farm. Today I'm going to be making one of my favorite recipes, my stuffed cabbage rolls. I've been making them for many years, over 40 years. And I was just digging out the book where I first learned how to make stuffed cabbage rolls, the Betty Crocker's cookbook. I know it said it was printed in 1981, which is right about when I started to learn how to make cabbage rolls. I learned lots of, you can see how well I use this book. It's printed in 1981, which is 1 year after I moved out. I moved out from my house, from my family, my mom and dad, and I moved out on my own to a little apartment. And I wanted to be able to learn how to cook. And so this was one of the cookbooks that I used a long time ago. Anyways, I've tweaked the recipe a little bit. I've added, I add different herbs now than I did before, but it's much the same. So let's get started. So we're first gonna start with a cabbage. We're gonna remove the core. We're gonna place it in a pot of boiling water and we're gonna cover it and we're gonna boil it for 10 minutes. So there it is, the core has been removed, and I'm gonna go place it in my pot. I'm just gonna cover it with some boiling water. And so here it is. We're just gonna, when it starts to boil, we're gonna time it for 10 minutes. And maybe just because it floats and the top part is not completely covered, just turn it over every once in a while, just so that the whole cabbage cooks. Okay, while we're waiting for the cabbage to cook for 10 minutes, we're gonna start to prep some of the ingredients that we need for the sauce. So we're gonna start with 1 onion and we're gonna mince 3 cloves of garlic. They're all chopped. I'm just going to move them to the other side of the board. I'm going to get my garlic cloves ready. Peel off it. So the cabbage is boiling nicely. It's just got a few minutes left, and then we're going to start to do the sauce on the other burner. Okay, so the saucepan to high heat. We're going to add a couple tablespoons olive oil. And we're going to add our onions. And we're going to saute that for 5 minutes. All right, browning up nicely. All right, so the cabbage is done. I'm just going to drain it in the sink. Add some cold water so that it's going to be easy to take the cabbage leaves off. So it's just sitting in some cold water while we're waiting to cook our sauce here. All right, the onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes. Turn them down while I was draining the cabbage, and now we're just going to mince our 3 cloves of garlic, and then we're going to cook it for another minute or 2. Okay, Okay, so we're ready to add some other ingredients here. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. We're going to add 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, or if you want, you can, if you don't want the whole tomatoes, you can add a 28-ounce can of tomato sauce. I prefer the tomatoes. Add 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 to 2 tablespoons of white sugar, about a half a teaspoon of salt, and some pepper. Just a couple shakes here. Let it stir. And we're going to also put in 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. And we're going to let this cook, simmer for about 5 minutes. Alright, so now we're ready to mix together the cabbage stuffing ingredients here. So we're going to start with 1 1/4 pounds of ground beef. You can use pork if you like, or you can use ground beef. I'm using our own ground beef from our farm here. I'm just going to add that to the bowl. And you're going to add some more onion, so I'm going to chop up half of this large onion. You're going to add half a cup of uncooked rice, a teaspoon of parsley flakes, or you can use fresh if you have it, 2 teaspoons of paprika, a teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Mix that all up. And add a little bit of pepper as well. You're going to set your oven to 350 degrees. It's all mixed up. I use my hands just to kind of make sure it's all combined here. And then I'm going to take my cabbage out. And you're just going to remove the leaves. So what I do is this part right here can be a little tough. So as I'm taking them off, I just basically cut a little notch, a little V-shaped notch. And I remove that little bit, so it's not so hard. Okay, so you're just going to take about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the meat mixture. Put it in a little ball, and you're going to put it at the end. You're just going to roll it up, and then as you're rolling it up, you just want to fold in the rest of the leaves. There you go. You have a nice little roll, and you're just going to place it in your baking dish. One more here. Nice big leaves. finish and I'll show you when I'm done. So it's all finished. Got a nice serving tray or baking tray full of them, and I didn't use it all, so I did have a little bit left. Lots of water here. So now we're finished with that. We're gonna pour all our sauce over top. Drop of it here. Just gonna spread it around a little bit. And then you're gonna pour over either 1 cup of water or 1 cup of broth. And I've got some beef broth here. You're going to cover it, and you're going to put it in the oven, 350 degree oven for 45 to 50 minutes. And then we're going to remove the tin foil and we're going to put it back in the oven again for another 15 minutes. So I'm just going to put it in the oven. I'm going to cover it first. Oven it goes. Hey Google, set timer for 50 minutes.
Sure, 50 minutes, and that's starting now.
All right, so it's been about 50 minutes, so I'm just gonna remove the tin foil and bake it for another 15 minutes. There they are, all taken out of the oven. Yum, looks really good.